All right, follow podcast, episode 26. Today we are doing the Shawn Ryan show, the latest with the Palantir uh, CTO. This was not my idea. I know the Vegas odds were against or heavily in favor of this being Sterling's pick. Um, but I think Conley just knows exactly what I want and threw it to me.
Big part of it. Yeah, I've been following up on Palantir recently, and really cool company, really cool stuff, and the podcast was great because they have there's like the main founder. I don't know. He kind of looks like our dad, long hair, wears like just a white t-shirt, crazy looking dude. Um,
Peter
and
Thiel?
no, is that Peter Thiel? I don't think that is.
I thought Peter Thiel, maybe he just funded Palantir.
It's Alex Karp. Um, and I've listened to he's mainly when you hear Palantir, he's like the guest for those episodes. And so this guy was new. It was Samir, what's his other name? Sorry. Notes are scattered right now. We had a active
Sankar?
we had an active Sunday
Shyam
listen.
Sankar.
So, um, no, really good episode. Palantir is a really cool story. It's really surprising how long Palantir has been around. Did you know that they're that old of a company?
How old are they?
They're over, yeah, 22 years old. I was gonna say over 20 years old.
It's crazier that 2003 was 22 years ago. That's wild.
Yeah. So, what do you think about it?
Well, I mean, on that vein, their startup was crazy. Could you imagine, like, being these unclassified coders that just went to the government and the DoD every day without a security clearance? It was like, hey, if you choose our software, we can do this, this, and that for you. Not having any access to the software, that is a cold sell.
Uh-huh. It's it's really reminiscent of the Doge employees right now. Like a bunch of just young software developers that are just all stars. And when you actually give them the opportunity to work on these really big issues, they're gonna kill it.
Yeah, especially in these areas where there's been a huge vacuum of that talent.
Yeah, I've like I've in my head I've explained to myself like a lot of these soft or Silicon Valley companies like Palantir and the ones they're really like the NBA of talent for like software developers.
Even Shawn, he was asking him like how he got started at Palantir, and just like, oh, my roommate at Stanford worked at Peter Thiel's company and just hired me. And he's like, you guys all know each other, and I feel like there's this like pocket of talent in the West Coast at the same time that yeah, they were talented and they wanted to do their own thing. It seems like, and they did it.
Yeah, I also really like the episode because um, it related to my job a lot. Because like it would be equivalent to those four deployed engineers. Because like we're on the site with the customer, talking to them about their needs and stuff, and a lot of the our biggest competitor has been the government and in our company because the federal government incentivize states to not outsource their software development, and they did that for the past like 25 years. And
How
that's
so?
so the federal government for tax systems in like the early 2000s, they would pay states like grants, like hundreds of millions of dollars to develop their own software internally with the
So
incentive that they could sell it to other states once they were able to create a software solution that worked for them. And so the idea is you don't have to pay someone else. You can develop it yourself and then sell it to other states to make money. It's like, and like from a high level, that sounds like a good plan. but there's just a lot of that bureaucracy that doesn't allow um, really good software development for
They're
states.
just not motivated by the same thing.
Yeah,
They're
and
not motivated by profits.
it's
So you get
still
a worse product.
ongoing battle um, and tax software management, and then also all the other software that is utilized by big governments and states. The federal government still incentivizes it to be built.
So how did your company crack it? Do you know?
Um, well, it was kind of by default, I think. So these states got these grants basically from the federal government, and 8 years later they had no solution, and it didn't work. And it's just as simple as that. It's like I think our company was kind of at the doorstep where 8, 10 years ago they're like, "Hey, this is our bid. This is our." They responded to the request for purchase, I guess, the RFP with their bid and their solution, and then just stayed at the door front and are like, "Well, let's wait till this fails." um, and it's still in the realm of a lot of other software solutions. Like there's a lot, like driver services, unemployment insurance, child support. Those are all huge software solutions, platforms that the government tries to create themselves and sustain themselves.
Thanks.
You really have to be, you really have to have a software focus. It's like kind of like the car companies. When you look at all the car companies and then you see Tesla come along, it's like they're a software company building the car. It's
Yeah.
like you really see that once software is at the forefront of a company, how much better a product can be. These the government is basically like the legacy car companies trying to build a software application for 20 million users, and it's just not. Uh, it's not simple.
Yeah, they talked about that their one product they have, their one hardware product is like a star satellite communications
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
truck. And he said the big change there was we designed it from software first. What does the software need? What are the capabilities? And then we put the hardware to support it. It's kind of what IBCS does, so what I work on. And our hardware is kind of in the back seat. We kind of just, okay, software, how much processing power do you need? Okay, we'll fit that in the racks. What, how many soldiers are going to sit in there? Blah, blah, blah.
He also said that Northrop is like subcontracted for that, which I thought was pretty interesting.
it doesn't surprise me. They have a lot of command and control. That's the sector I'm in, actually. What? So I had a thought, and I was going to save this for the end, but I have a big take. I want to run by you.
Shoot.
All these weapons right now, the software is king, right? The weapon with the best software is going to win right now in the world. Period. End of story. But does that converge? Does your advantage in software get competed away like everything else? The big key to software is you can copy and paste it, but you can copy and paste it. You know what I mean? It's like your biggest win and it's your biggest disadvantage. So when all the software kind of hits its hits its peak and there's no more differentiation there, the best weapon's going to be what software's in the best hardware.
Yeah. I think that's a good point. I think that point of convergence is there's a lot more things to play out before we converge to where everyone has uh, the same software because it is copy and paste if you have access to it. But how many of these software platforms are like a lot of them are I would assume pretty kept secret. Um,
Yeah, yeah, but my more, I mean, here we go with AI again. But doesn't AI very quickly converge all software? I mean, I
yeah,
feel like it's
uh,
accelerating this path.
yeah, but you have other factors, right? Well, like um, well, that's like the day that all the AI language models that are like helping develop software are just as good as like are to that point where they're really good and you can explain it. The other
Right.
thing is you have to be able to, I mean, I guess till it's like really, really good, you have to be able to explain exactly what you are wanting.
Right.
But yeah, once I think this is more wrapping back to the common AI um, discussion of once it can really tell you what the best solution is, and you don't have to have people prompting like an AI model to tell it what to build, and that AI model is basically say, give me the high level of what it is, and I will perfect it. Yes, once we get to that point, it's gonna be very important the hardware, and how well, not just like how good the hardware is, but how well it integrates with software. That's kind of why a long time ago we were talking about what company wins the robotics race, the humanoid robots or just robots in general. And I really thought it'd be a Tesla that is fully integrated, because there's a lot more advantages um, being the one creating the hardware and being the one creating the software.
Yeah,
And
the vertical integration.
yeah,
I'm There's that long road, but I think there's a shorter road. Seeing what you guys have been able to accomplish with two software engineers with that app, it's really impressive. But the advantage Androl and Palantir and all these companies that are upsetting this industry have is they're putting software first and they have the best talent. But that talent thing quickly erodes, right? Instead of needing a 500 development team, you need a 400 and a 300 and a 200 because Ford can go find 200 good software engineers, right? And then the only other thing that has to change is Ford has to realize you got to build software first, which is hard for a hardware company, but eventually they'll either learn or die.
yeah, yeah. I think the first wave in this era though isn't going to be quick, like an abrupt disruption of like companies just falling off because they don't need as many people or like just mass layoffs. I think you're going to see a lot of custom built, purpose built software solutions, hardware solutions, and stuff like that.
I mean, maybe when when software's been growing so much year over year by an employee standpoint for the past 15 years. And this year, next year, that rate of growth slows to nothing. That's not a layoff, I agree, but they're not hiring anybody. That's a huge slowdown. That's a huge sea change.
Yeah, I think a lot of it has to do with the market though. Is like it. It is not completely the market. I think it's a little bit of both though, because you don't have as many new companies, and it's just the natural like almost bell curve of like, all right, there are a lot less obvious software solutions for new companies to come in and build.
Yeah.
How VC is only looking at these like AI disruptor companies rather than 10, 15 years ago, you could be a company wanting to uh, write a print server software for enterprise companies and get VC backing, you know?
Right. Right. You'd be the only one in town.
There is a little bit of a natural like bell curve for it. And at that point, there's a lot less developers. So like they're picking up anyone they can find, right? From any discipline that is like technical.
Mm-hmm.
Um, did you catch the part where they were talking about um I don't know what era it was, but we were stealing Russian engineers for the space program.
German.
German German engineer,
Yeah.
and he accredited it to Huntsville's beginnings.
Yeah. Yeah. We have Werner von Braun Center, Werner von Braun Amphitheater. We have the Werner von Braun Space Station. There's great German restaurants in Huntsville.
Really? I didn't.
There's an opera
Huh.
because Werner von Braun wanted it. Yeah, he built this town.
Dang. I didn't realize it was that like it was kind of that's kind of cool to see someone who lives there be able
He's the
to.
reason we got to the moon.
That's great.
So let's that was my big question I had for you is, he's one of those people. He was a Nazi, right? but he also got humankind to the moon. How do you think about people that perform these great feats, but have, you know, in hindsight, done terrible things?
How do I feel about it? I mean, eh, there's a lot to play in there. I mean, I think it's very specific on how much he changed, once he got to the States. Like what's a man to do if you're born in Germany? Like you're not really
Well,
watching McGee.
I
That's
mean,
a
everyone would like to think they'd do something. You're right.
It seems
There's a
like a
lot of
nice comeback
social
story.
pressure.
He was on the wrong team and I don't know if he I don't know. I don't know who he
When he
was.
came over, he was like, I hated that guy the whole time. Fucking hate that dude. Oh, Conley. That's funny.
Yeah. No, I mean I don't I mean he did good stuff for us. I'm not too mad about it.
I like it.
You
I
can't
like
be.
it.
You got us to the
Wait,
moon.
we've just gone through this era of like tearing down our past heroes because, Washington had owned slaves, which is, terrible. But I mean, if I take your approach, it's like, what's a man to do? Everyone's got slaves.
Yeah. Okay, there's gonna be a couple people who are really pivotable or pivotable. Um yeah, man, I'm not gonna I'm not gonna hate on him. He came around.
I like it. I like it. It's tough. I mean, it's like, do I want Max to look up to Warner Von Braun? And like everything, it's nuanced, but yeah, he achieved great things. But when it mattered, did he stand up for what was right? He didn't. Like the reason that whole country went so radical is because the people that knew better didn't step up when it needed to step up.
We should find a podcast on him because I'm really
Warner
curious.
Von Braun.
Yes, I'm really curious of the perspectives of his story.
Yeah. A lot of those engineers, they were working like rockets for the Nazis, right? So they weren't like, there's some people in the pharmaceutical and chemical realm for the Nazis that would, making some mustard gas, and you know their whole job was to efficiently kill the Jews.
I might
That
not
feels a
have
little
that
different,
perspective there. That'd be yeah. I don't
but
yeah. Some DuPont people, man.
when Bear,
Yeah, I don't now forgiveness for those areas is a little bit more slim.
yeah, is this like, I don't know, it's complicated.
Yeah. One of my favorite TV shows from college was For All Mankind, and it was an alternative to the space race if Germany beat us there, and it was really good. And he was in this. We took him, and then they took one of our guys 10 years later. So they got us back in the alternative reality. But great TV show. I'd recommend it to a friend.
That sounds interesting. I'm gonna have to
Yeah,
watch that.
it's awesome. I've recommended it to many people. No one's watched it yet. So and it's really good graphics. So Apple TV made it, and they brought in old.
Oh, that's why. Who has Apple TV?
They brought in or NASA engineers to validate their stories, because there's the alternatives, hey, if this would have happened, does this seem accurate, and then also to rebuild all the scenes and stuff.
That's cool.
Their control center was 100% a replica, which is pretty cool. Yeah.
A big part of this podcast was talking about like specific individuals that were larger than life in the business world, like Warner Von Braun. Like, I'm slipping on the name, but the guy who, he
Kelly,
said it multiple times, he built over 40 airplanes in his life, 40 unique airplanes, including the U-2.
that was Skunkworks guy, Kelly something.
Yeah, Manning would be all over that right now. And we just don't have those guys anymore, or at least that's what I was thinking. And I was
Kelly
like,
Johnson, is that
no,
what?
we have Musk, we have some of these larger than life software guys. They're all software right now. We have lost it. It's like our industry outside of software has become so content. Like I really liked his point about the problem with the big five defense contractors is they don't have enough heretics in there. They're so uniform. They're sort of straight down the middle. There's no crazy ideas. There's no big swings, and you don't have that founder mentality. I think he nailed that. I think he nailed that take because that's why. I mean, there's no one. I've been around a lot. There's a lot of talent out there, but there's everything has to be so risk calculated now.
Yeah, I love the kind of the point of founder mentality. I think that should be like uh, more used terminology. Like I don't think many people would understand what that means, but it does seem like I would definitely say that I would accredit that to a lot of Palantirs and a lot of other companies' success is they actually embrace founder mentality, whether they knew it or not.
Yeah. So that reminded me. There's. Would you rather have a great king or a great president? Have you ever heard this conversation before?
Uh, no, and I'm gonna answer Great King and see why I'm wrong.
No, it is great king. Why? Why is great king better?
Because he doesn't go away in 4 years. He's more
Yeah,
powerful.
if you have the right person, give him all the power, right? Don't hold him back. And that's I think what he's arguing for in these businesses. When you have these great minds and just business titans, let them go. Don't don't restrain them. But the problem is, and maybe we're just at the end of a pendulum swing for the risk averse, is an average king can do a lot more damage than an average president or a bad king in particular, right? So the the democratic checks and balances are to reduce risk. The monarchy is the risk on approach, the founder first mentality. And you really got to trust the guy in charge.
Yeah, I wonder how rare that talent is in the world.
Part of me thinks it's not that rare.
That's kind of what I was thinking.
It's opportunity, right? The opportunity to do those crazy things is what's rare. But I don't know. You heard the story about his dad, right? Grew up in a mud hut in India. Like, so this guy, his dad was the poorest of the poor in the world, and now he's the chief technology officer of one of the biggest companies in the world. Right, in one generation, boom, or I guess that's two generations. So the American dream, the opportunity is still there. So
Oh yeah,
it's just weird. It doesn't feel like it's there as much, and maybe it's just harder. Maybe it's just um less people want to go pursue it. But
yeah.
opportunity's there, talent's there. So why don't we have more heroes? I don't know.
We, I don't know. I feel like you're always gonna have a very limited number of heroes because you're only gonna hear the top stories. Like you know how many companies there are or new companies in the past 15 years, but you only hear about the ones that
They're
are
all software.
hundreds of billions of dollars.
All
Yeah,
software.
but what
So
else are you
so
looking?
where's the hero in the shipbuilding that they were talking about? Where's the hero in the energy building? Where's the hero in the financial? Is it Michael Saylor?
Robin Hood? I don't know.
Yeah, that's software too.
I think the hard thing about that is right now, 90% of those companies are the ones, even like outside the realm of what you'd think is software. The companies winning now are the software companies and finance
Right.
and home building or whatever.
Yeah, and maybe that you only get heroes in the industries that are up and coming. Maybe established industries they don't have room for them.
They did talk about how uh was this Shamir or how do you say his name? Do you know?
Shyam,
uh
Shyam.
anyways, he talked about how he really thinks that um well, one, United States is really behind on their energy utility infrastructure and innovation. And he really made it a point that the software industry is going to be the ones that develop the United States, develop our energy supply. And I was like, that's definitely going to happen.
I thought you saying they're building their energy to go straight to them.
What was
Now
that?
maybe they spin off commercial entities, but my understanding is the AI companies are going to go build these plants just to feed their server farms.
Yeah, but I think the runoff of that would be new innovations and like the nuclear fission or fusion, that trickles down into the consumers like us. And
Maybe I mean maybe you see some more startup ventures. It seems like tech is going after just technologies that work now because they need to feed their farms in 5 years.
and I think that's the case, and that is going to trickle down, um, whether it's new technologies or that they are the ones influencing the decisions to build like a nuclear power plant somewhere, right? And they innovate in that area, right? And now you have a new nuclear power plant in America. And now it's more likely there's going to be another one, stuff like that.
Mhm.
Um, the quantum computing discussion is one I feel like one day it's going to hit us kind of like AI did, where one day we're just going to out of nowhere we're going to be like, oh, quantum computing's here, and it's probably going to be somewhat soon, where it's like,
That it has to have a breakthrough, right?
yeah,
And Microsoft kind of had one earlier this year.
was it Microsoft or Google? I thought it was Google, where they like put out a
Yeah, I thought that
paper
was Microsoft.
explaining that they uh, broke SHA-56 encryption in like a short amount of time, and
Yeah,
they credited that the quantum computing was showing evidence it was doing computation in the multiverse.
yeah. Who was that?
I
We got
think
to solve this. Wow, I like the birds chirping in the back.
dude, yeah,
Google.
it's like the Masters, but on the follow up,
Oh, they both had a breakthrough. Microsoft had the new material. They created more stable qubits, and then Google had its Willow chip. But yeah, you're right. It's gonna be 10 years away for 30 years, and then all of a sudden, the next day, it's gonna be today.
yeah, and that one will. I think that one's going to cause more of a panic too, um, because all of our encryption isn't set up to withstand uh, quantum
Oh
computers.
yeah.
I mean,
Oh yeah.
we like from what I've heard is it's not going to be that big of a deal to upgrade to more complex or basically
If
large.
you have a chip, if you get one of their new chips, like you can't do quantum encryption without a quantum computing chip. Like, yeah, you could just make the packet split.
The encryption side of it is a lot simpler, and I don't think you would need quantum computing power to
That's
encrypt.
not true. There's no way. That doesn't make any sense. Because you're just solving a math problem. And the encryption part is you're solving a math problem that only you have a key for. Because the
Yeah,
math problem's so hard.
well, the encryption to like create an encryption, the private keys, you don't need to do the problem. You create the problem, right? You create the variables for the problem, and the private keys are the variables. So you have a solution that is public, but the private variables are private. And those private variables, we didn't have to have a math problem to get. We just decided these are the private variables and plugged them into the solution. So I think you could.
No, we're gonna have to do a podcast on encryption now. I gotta dive into that. That doesn't make sense. That doesn't make sense. If you can solve if no, that doesn't make sense. We're not going into it right now, but I'm not buying it.
All right, ask Chat GPT about it.
Okay. Make sure she didn't lie to me.
I would be
I know you
impressed if
programmed
just
her.
understood SHA-56 encryption just like from listening to your phone.
It's pretty cool. I got Leslie to start using it now.
What?
AI for like the kids' school. It's coming, man. It's freaking coming. Um,
Corinne sends all of her. She's gonna be mad I said this. Shit sends all of her emails from AI.
What'd she say? Like, make this more professional?
Probably, yeah.
um, one of the things I want to talk about is how how he was talking about there used to be all these companies that were both private and DoD supported, like the General Mills made cereal and made torpedoes. We had a lot of that after World War II, right? All the factories turned to the war machine. They got really good at it, and they're good at mass production. So they still made some weapons, but after the Cold War ended, the demand went down, and they all left the industry because the government was such a bad customer. Which, one, I can absolutely attest to, and two, it's like his example with China, where their big five only gets 20% of their funding from the government. The rest of it comes from, mass producing freaking iPhones. I don't know. It was why don't we have a cap on how much of your business can be government funded? I would love to see that. Like, you can't get more than 25% of your funding from the DoD or the government at large.
It's very libertarian of you, Sterling, to say.
No, it is. It is. It keeps companies from being government entities, right? It keeps the government small. Like, what Northrop is essentially it's essentially the government, right? What is Northrop without government funding? They've returned great. They do everything the government wants you know at a fee. If if government or if Northrop was forced to have commercial products, they would be such a better company. They would be so much more competitive,
Is
I
Northrop
think.
only defense that only does defense?
I mean, they have commercial things, but it's so tiny in the grand scheme of things. Lockheed, I'm sure, sells radars to, the big airplane companies and the weather stations, but they sell a lot more radars to the DoD. Raytheon, same thing. Um, General Dynamics, General Dynamics and Boeing probably have the biggest commercial footprint.
Yeah, Boeing's it says 30% commercial.
Yeah, because they sell half the world's planes. But I thought it was interesting. I think more of our if more of our economy had to stand on its own 2 feet instead of on the government's funding supply, I think we'd have better companies.
Yeah. It's I feel like so what would it look like today if they did that? Does Northrop and Boeing just do they just die? And then we have to I feel like it'd be very hard. Maybe 20% is a little steep. Like even if it was 50%. But then like how do you regulate that? Is that even
I
regular?
think
Say if a defense company is only like 50% of their profits is the US government, but then they just lose the contract and they go to like 80% of the profits, like what happens there? Like can you regulate that?
no, you could definitely regulate it. That's really easy.
You
If
gotta start
you're
selling more commercial stuff. You gotta end our contract.
well, yeah. So it would take a long cut in. I agree. You couldn't do it overnight because you have too many long term defense contracts banking on five companies that don't fit that criteria. But you can set it as a plan and incrementally get there. And what it would require is more competitors in the market that have a commercial footing. There's no reason Procter and Gamble couldn't start making some weapons. They're excellent at manufacturing.
I I feel like I don't know if that's the right way to solve the solution, or solve the problem, because I feel like the open market is doing its job. We do have angels, we have palantirs. Um, it almost seems like the incentives really needs to be on the government side, like really
I don't
regulate
think I don't
spending.
think you can say the fact that we have Andro and Palantir is the market's doing its thing. I think you would have a lot more of those examples. I think those are the exceptions that broke through. And one of my concerns is as soon as those big dogs break through and we have this new guard, they're going to immediately put the trenches up behind them, like they do in every industry.
Yep. I mean, there will be some of that. Um,
because they'll start hiring the Boeing lawyers and the Lockheed Martin chief technology officers eventually, and they'll hire the kids that graduated from liberal arts into their HR department, and they'll slowly degrade.
Yeah, that's inevitable though. Um, yeah, I just it'd be interesting to see companies being forced to have to be just as advantageous in commercial sales as defense.
Yeah. I mean, you would have the car companies making the tanks. You would have the plane companies making the planes. You would have the boat companies making the boats. You'd have the software companies making the software. Piece it all together. I mean, I think it's very reasonable to limit.
It's kind of what happens though, because like they're just all subcontracted out. One of the things he said was the uh, the big defense companies are really just assembling the parts they get from all the people who are building the parts. I mean, that might be a little extreme, but it's got to be somewhat true.
No, there's definitely a lot of that. I mean, 90% of our product isn't Northrop made. And we really just integrate. That's where the money's at as far as the manufacturing process goes. But I don't know. He was just explaining that world where there was all these different companies and they all had their own business as well. The military contract benefited their commercial industry. Their commercial industry benefited their military contract. I mean, think about Boeing. So Boeing, they get the contract to build the C-130, right? Or I think it was the C-130. They do that all on government dollars. All the research, all the development, all the design. And then year after they produce it, they come out with their 737 design. And golly gee, does it look just like the C-130 at first, right? It's just tailored to the commercial world. And so there's this huge lift on Boeing's side where they got to use all the government dollars for R&D and turn around and just build their own commercial copy and sell it to Delta. I think that's healthy. And I think when you got companies like Lockheed that live solely off the teat of the government, you lose that. They are just government entities at that point. Might as well call them the Fed.
Yeah, I maybe it's I don't know. Is it less applicable to the companies that get these huge projects like the fighter jets or Navy warships? Because like that's a huge center of profit, and I guess there are some. It would be harder to spin off products to the commercial side from developing for being experts in those areas.
And what areas?
Building an aircraft carrier or a fighter
Make
jet.
commercial shipping vessels, make jet skis, make
Jet
hot
ski?
tubs, right?
I guess. I mean, yeah. I don't think that it's ever. I don't know. It's definitely not ever going to happen.
Doesn't that feel like a huge competitive advantage that when you order something off Timu, that it's funding their defense companies? Like they're making profit making electric outlets, but that same company also develops their circuit boards for AI. I don't.
Is that what's going on?
That's what he was describing. I
Um,
mean, those top five defense contractors in China only get 20% of their funding from the government.
yeah.
Now, there's a whole bunch of weird stuff with China where they own the companies outright, pretty much. But
It's definitely a healthier relationship. I wouldn't argue that how like attainable it is or what other like compound effects you'd have. I don't know. I feel like there definitely be some drawbacks. There's got to be.
I think there's drawbacks for the shareholders that just buy DoD stocks and they return 15% over the last 20 years
Yeah.
because they're guaranteed success. I don't know. You know, so it reminded me, Clash of Clans on the phone? You know that company, Epic Games, is a Chinese company? They're deemed an adversarial company by the DoD.
Oh no, yeah.
So, like, I don't know why. It could be because they're collecting data on you and sending it right to, CCP, or It could be because they on the side they build code to hack, weapons. I don't know, but I don't know. I thought it was interesting. I feel like it's a unique advantage of that system. There's
Yeah.
that thing that Joe Rogan always talks about where he's like, you worry that you're going to have to repeat what they do to beat them in the long term.
Well, yeah, I think that's I mean, it's not like a bad approach. Like it's not really like a against any moralities to say, hey, you can only make X number of dollars from the government. You can't be completely dependent on the government from a company standpoint.
Right. Yeah, I guess one of the drawbacks would be if Boeing already is at their 25% and I want to build another airplane, they're out of the question. That would be the drawback. But that's in the scenario where we only have 5. If we worked our way back to the 51 or however many, right, then you have options. And maybe that's part of the long-term thing. The story talked about with Shield AI going to Ukraine and winning the drone competition.
That's cool.
I loved it. That that field test, like Ukraine just sets up this electronic warfare field test for drones and says who can survive, and everyone brought their stuff, and Shield AI was the one that figured it out, and they ordered Shield AI drones. Where is that? Where is that in the United States?
Yeah, it's a bureaucracy problem. That Shield AI story was cool though. I've never heard of them.
Neither.
HOS.
He
Ooh.
listed off a handful of companies that I had never heard of.
Yeah.
Saronic.
Shield OS has a software development environment. Looks a lot like
Hmm.
Cursor AI.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Interesting.
There's your commercial sales too. Shield AI.
There's always a commercial application. There's a commercial application to rocket ships.
Yeah, I gotta show you this website. It's sick.
Hey, can we pause real fast, Conley?
Yeah, we don't really have a pause button, or it is, but we don't have the subscription for the pause button. Yeah, you run real quick.
I'm back, Conley. Sorry
Cool.
about that. I almost shit my pants.
That's all right, dude. All right, so check out this website, dude. It's one of the cooler websites I've seen. It's just I don't know how to explain it. It's just like some really cool animations.
Yeah, it's beautiful, that's for sure.
Like, yeah, I don't know who's capable of building these types of websites. It's um it's kind of Rivian's got a really cool website, but this one's probably cooler. It's basically like a movie you're watching as you scroll through the website. It was cool. Anyways,
That makes me think there should be a path for a new company to enter the DoD. Like you hear the story of Palantir, you hear the story of Andrel, of how they, you know, Andrew went on their own dime and did all these things and finally cracked the defense. And Palantir went door to door to all these generals showing their software. And it took them way longer than it should have taken for this business to, benefit the DoD. Where's the on ramp? Where's the if you have a good idea, this is where you take it. It should be like America's Got Talent for weapons.
I mean, yeah, I think it's probably somewhere in the either how the government determines what they buy, like in that process. Because it doesn't seem like they're always looking for it, so I think a lot of the issues is it's political. Like when you look at like NASA back in the day, they were subcontracting to specific companies in specific jurisdictions because they had to get the contract because a politician from their hometown wanted their hometown company to get a subcontract to build a certain part, right? And it probably wasn't the best company to build that part. I think a lot of it is just the kind of the corruption and decision making.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so too. But just like I like what this administration's done with their new approach to DoD. It seems like all of these guys talk about the new administration being favorable. Hopefully, that's not just select favorites and it's everybody, but it'd be cool if they said, "Here's our new DoD acquisition products for new companies. If you want in to this pipeline If you have something to add, you bring it here.
Do they not do that? Like send out requests for purchases of just like I feel like there probably is a location for that. It's
Um,
just whether or not they genuinely have a chance or not.
I don't think a lot of them are public, and still, that's not the point because like there is no RFP for Shield AI's technology of drones, right? There's an RFP to do exactly what the Air Force thinks they want with drones, but there's no like, hey, I have this good idea. I want to produce this wall of energy to block all drones like that you're talking about. The government has to know what to ask for in order for it to be an RFP route.
Yeah.
But that
Um,
would also be cool if they just like, here's this scenario, beat it. Like if you can beat it, you can get win this contract. That'd also be cool. Here's a hypersonic missile, shoot it down. Here's a cyber attack, block it.
yeah. It's kind of I don't know from the outside looking in. I you really have to I think see what the processes look like. I I I don't know if I'd be surprised or not if it is already like that because it just takes a lot of even if it is like that, like a new company still has to self fund a team to solve those problems and get one of them, win the contract for one of them. Like that's still a lot of overhead.
But it's doable. It's doable. I have another big one. I saving.
Let it rip.
So the left has lost their ability to block and tackle. Due to fundamentals. Boy, do they miss on two huge topics. Um, they said no more red meat. Turns out that's the best thing for you. And they said no more energy, which turns out to be the most critical thing for economy, for technology, for defense. Why? What happened in America where all the things that were just fundamental get perverted into being bad? I can think of a million things in the health world. This was like stood out to me. Oh, they do it in other areas too.
I
It's
mean,
weird.
left.
It's weird.
I don't know.
It's weird. How do you miss on energy? You're against energy for the last 15 years, and they would argue it's yeah, dirty energy, but at what cost, man?
I think it's
If
just
the
individual private pockets is what I credit a lot of those decisions being made from is that
imagine if we lose the AI race because we don't have the energy for our companies, wouldn't that be crazy? I mean, talk about your alternate universe with your first to the moon show. I mean, there's an alternate universe to the AI race because we don't have the energy to freaking support the farms.
yeah. I mean, luckily the people there's a lot of money around it, so they would probably develop something pretty quick as long as regulation didn't stand in their way.
I hope so. Regulation from whom though?
Government.
Yeah, well, the left, right? I don't know. It that might be the death of the left is they did not have the right approach to health and they did not have the right approach to energy.
Yeah, that's a. I always thought the left's health move was so random because it seemed like growing up they were always the non
They
GMO.
had it. They had it in their hands.
Yeah,
They
that's
fumbled it.
craziest switch up. To be honest,
Mhm.
got anything else here?
Let's see. One I thought that was really cool that they got to sit at the army bases when the soldiers came back. The soldiers could tell them, "I wish it did this feature instead." They could work on it that night, and that's the coolest thing about software is you can push your update instantly. Like hardware, you make a new design, okay, it's going to be 2 years because my supply chain takes a year. I have to have a year to build it and a year to test it, right? Software, it's like instant. Here's your upgrade. That's cool.
Yeah, those that job specifically was cool. Um,
Oh yeah.
you could tell it was like if you were working that job, it's a passion job.
Mm-hmm. He had a cool nickname, the sworn enemy of slowness and destroyer of bureaucracy. I'm jealous. I want that nickname. Um,
Better than Chamov's dictator
yeah,
nickname.
yeah. Two other little things. So he talked about having the software giving you the decision advantage. which I thought was an interesting way to frame it. They essentially you make better decisions and faster decisions with software. That's the advantage software's given you at all levels, right? If you're the missile deciding what to hit, if you're the Intel agency deciding who the target is, all these things get better and faster. And then he talked about having a defense in depth, which is, a revolutionary. Like
Gosh.
today, if you want to shoot down a missile, you launch a missile. But what he's talking about is like tomorrow, if you want to shoot down a missile, you launch a missile. You also launch an aircraft to see if they can intercept it, and you also do electronic warfare to jam it. And you also and there's like these, layers and layers and layers of defense: long range, short range, high altitude, low altitude. Um, Interesting that they're thinking of it that way.
Yeah, there's so many cool problems to solve, and
There
this
is,
I feel like they obviously get more complicated over time, but it's just as a engineer at it's I love hearing those conversations.
yeah, they're cool. Last thing is I need a brother that will talk sports and video games with me. So you're not covering everything I need, just so you know. I'm having all these milestones. So
You
I
have to
bought
put an RFP out. So yeah, I'm only answering about 20% of the requests out there.
I bought Max a PS5. So now we can game together and we're hitting.
Just on a random Tuesday, you got him a
Oh, it
PS5.
was his birthday. It was his birthday.
Happy birthday!
It was a good birthday for both of us. But now we get to play and we're hitting all these milestones. But it's so awesome. So today's milestone was Cal. He's got this game called Astrobot. It's like a little Mario game, but like his hands aren't big enough for the controller. But he just nonstop always wants to play it. He's just overcoming it. Today he hit restart and started a new game, and he couldn't understand why he lost access to all the levels he had unlocked, and he was crying. He was devastated. So luckily he had a save game. I just had to switch it. But that what a milestone. I remember being that way.
Yeah,
It,
that's funny.
the game started and uh it's like you're just going around a spaceship and then an alien comes and destroys your spaceship and it goes a million ways and the whole game is you getting all your pieces back together and all your buddies so you can get back in your spaceship and that's how you win. He he thought he lost the level or something. Like he watched the whole thing. He came into the other room crying. He's like, "They destroyed my spaceship." It was the cutest thing ever. I love it. I love it.
Dang,
Those are the little moments of fatherhood.
are
Make it
you
all worth it.
passing your PS5 time for Cal? That might be the bigger milestone.
He was playing it this morning while I was listening to the podcast, and he asked if I beat the boss for him, and I did. I did beat the boss for him while we were listening. So
It
I know, right? Let's go.
was on easy mode, Sterling.
The whole game is easy, but that's not the point. The point is, my son asked me to beat a boss, and his daddy beat that boss.
Dang, dude. I'm happy for you. Sorry I can't fill your void.
It's all right.
I might that you sent me a link on MCPs for large language models. I don't know. I haven't really looked into it. But I could probably set up some stuff with the MCP that would make it seem like you're playing video games with me. Like an AI
That's not what I want.
You'd be
Not what I
playing
want.
with like an AI Godly. How crazy would that be if I set it up and like had it train on all my voice, like train on my voice from these podcasts and talk
It
like
wouldn't be believable.
and it was playing video games with you. Maybe we need to
No.
stream a couple episodes playing video games and then like at some point you could just I could train a model.
No, you do the same thing every time. You figure out something to get obsessed with for like 6 months. You become better at everybody than it, and then you ask people to play it with you, and you win, and you think you're the best, and
That's
you're
not,
not.
I just
You're not the best. You're not.
think I'm
Sorry.
the best. And no, I'm the best. That kind of seemed like you're a little bitter about it.
I like chess, like marathons, like
Half marathon, triathlon.
gardening.
Okay, maybe you could have just stepped up to the plate and made a
My
better guy.
dogs ate my garden, damn it.
That's part of it.
You're right. Oh, I think that's episode 26. I think we wrapped. Thank you, everybody. Sorry for the pause. I almost shit my pants.